any person with a good scientific head on their shoulders is willing to change their perspective on things, look at it from a different angle. And I've got 9 supplements that I have changed my perspective on. I haven't done complete 180s on these. I still think there's practical applications, but these are supplements that after talking with experts, after seeing new literature that's come out in at least the last 18 months, I changed how I look at them and how I use them. The first one that I need to jump into is one that I, at one point, was very pro, and then at another point ended up very anti. And now I've kind of settled in the middle. So let's go ahead and jump into all of these. After today's video, I put a 30% off discount link for Thrive Market. That's 30% off your entire order through Thrive, whether it's groceries, and believe it or not, they have a huge supplement section as well. So if you learn anything from this video, you can go to Thrive Market and you can load up on their supplements as well. But also, you'll save 30% off of that. And that's the kind of stuff that adds up. So pretty cool. So you can use that link down below. Again, that's 30% off whatever you load up in your grocery cart, and then it's delivered to your doorstep. You get it in a couple of days. Plus, when you use that link down below, it's exclusive for people that watch my videos. You will also get a free $60 gift. So check out Thrive Market. Thank you, Thrive, for the continued support on this channel, and your support of Thrive supports this channel. So thank you. The first one is glutamine. Now, I have been pro-glutamine in the past because of its effect on the gut barrier. But where I have become very anti-glutamine is in its sort of, I don't know, its heavy push in the fitness world. It doesn't have a huge application as an amino acid for building muscle. As a matter of fact, most of the literature on glutamine suggests that it does practically nothing. In fact, literally nothing for building muscle. There's evidence that it just doesn't do anything. So when you say glutamine is important for building muscle, it's an amino acid that you get very easily and you don't typically need to replenish. However, recently, if you follow me on social media, on Instagram or anything like that, you may have seen it this summer after eating raw scallops at a poke joint, I ended up with a gnarly parasite. That parasite completely destroyed my gut barrier. I ended up with ulcers, it was ugly. And I had to rebuild that gut barrier integrity. And after talking with Dr. Scott Schur, who was on my channel, I really did learn that glutamine was very good when it came down to allowing your gut barrier to recover and rebuild. So if you're dealing with gut issues, glutamine does come into play. But glutamine also comes with risks, because certain types of, well, I don't even want to say the word on this channel, certain types of very bad things, starts with a C as you get older, can flourish when glutamine is present. So it's something you only really want to use if you're dealing with actual gut issues. Additionally, if you are an endurance athletes that are training intensely for long periods of time, 4+ hours per day, can deplete that gut layer, which is where glutamine would come in for them. Number 2 is GABA supplementation. GABA supplementation in theory is great because GABA is one of the most important, arguably the most important neurotransmitter in our bodies. I guess I could safely say that glutamate is probably more important, but we need glutamate and we need GABA, okay? And GABA helps us remain calm. It's that calm feeling that we get when we're tilted towards that GABA scale. It would make sense that supplementing GABA would help you out in feeling calm. But upon talking with really esteemed professionals in the world and looking at the literature, GABA does not cross the blood-brain barrier unless you have what is called a leaky brain. So a leaky gut can lead to inflammatory responses within the body, which can compromise the gut, or not the gut, but the brain integrity, so the brain barrier. If you have a disrupted blood-brain barrier, then, and potentially only then, can GABA really get in. So GABA is kind of a waste in that sense. There is some evidence that suggests it may work in some people, but what I would recommend instead is taking something like kava. Kava influences GABA production, and you probably are going to get a better response from kava than you would from GABA. Number 3, this is a big one, because people know me as a whey protein isolate guy, and I still 100% am in the team of whey protein isolate, but I used to be anti-whey protein concentrate. Now, seeing the literature on lactoferrin and other compounds that are in a whey protein concentrate, I think there's huge recovery benefits to whey protein concentrate. Some of the literature is suggesting that lactoferrin, which is an indigestible protein that is in whey protein concentrate, it's in colostrum, it has the ability to bind to iron and therefore prevent that iron from donating electrons to oxygen molecules, which then creates a bunch of free radical and oxidative stress in your body. So in essence, having whey protein concentrate with a meal or as a meal replacement actually is very beneficial. I still am in the team of whey protein isolate whenever possible because it's isolated protein. So you get more of the protein, muscle protein synthesis response post-workout or at the end of a fast or whatever. But whey protein concentrate, I'm no longer against. I think that it is more of a quote unquote whole food than whey protein isolate. So isolate as a supplement, whey protein concentrate almost as a whole food. You're getting the full spectrum of the dairy there. Number 4 is something that I learned recently when I had Dr. Rhonda Patrick on my channel. And this was the fact that fish oil is more important long-term than short-term. I used to take high-dose fish oil in the short term to try to get a brain benefit and actually feel a cognitive difference. And what's funny is I kind of did. And I think I was placeboing my way into it because upon talking to Rhonda Patrick, there's almost no immediate effect. You can get the anti-inflammatory effect, but that's not something you typically feel in your brain really quick. What I've learned is that it's more important to continually take omega-3s, and which I do anyway, but I've just changed my stance. I used to think that it was something you could almost take in a nootropic sense. Now it's something you take more long-term. Here's what I learned from her. I learned that over a 3-month period of time is when your omega-3 index increases, and that is your total level of omega-3 values in your body. And I also learned something interesting from her, and that was that the risk of cardiovascular disease is higher with a low omega-3 index than it is with occasional smoking. So it is more dangerous to not have omega-3s in your body than it is to smoke. So I've learned the importance of it. It's no longer just a tool or a nootropic. It's something that's fundamental to our health. Number 5 is coenzyme Q10. Now, I come from the low carb world, okay? Now, I've kind of changed some of my views on that, but I'm still a very low carb guy, but I've expanded how I look at things. Coenzyme Q10 is very, very, very good for people that do low carb or fast. I used to think it was only really beneficial for those people, but now I've seen the literature that suggests that coenzyme Q10, particularly in older individuals, can actually increase their quality of life. There was literature that took a look at this. I filmed a video earlier today on it, actually. I can't remember the exact study, but essentially, maybe we can at least overlay it in the video so you can see it. But it took a look at people that were elderly, and those that took coenzyme Q10 had less hospital visits and improved quality of life than those that didn't. So somehow, I can tell you how, the quality of life is improved because coenzyme Q10 is essentially increasing the efficiency of how we use energy from food. So as we get older, our mitochondria gets more dysfunctional and our ability to squeeze and extract energy from food is diminished because we have less energy factories. But coenzyme Q10 makes it so that the electrons from food can respond a little bit better. They can get into where they need to go in the mitochondria and into those folds and the gradients. And what that means is you have less oxidative stress occurring from digestion and metabolism and more overall directed fuel and energy. So basically, as you get older, whether you eat carbs or not, coenzyme Q10 is very, very important. Number 6 is carnitine. I used to be very against carnitine. And if you've watched my channel for a few years, you know that I'm no longer against carnitine. I used to think that carnitine was something that, well, we don't need. You get from the diet, okay? And if you take carnitine, it's not gonna increase fat utilization. It's not gonna, and the bottom line is that if you're not deficient in carnitine, taking a carnitine supplement's not gonna do much for you. But L-carnitine does get depleted up to 80% with intense exercise. So I, for one, work out pretty hard. It doesn't even take working out that hard to deplete carnitine. So if you're not getting enough carnitine in your diet, absolutely taking a carnitine supplement can be beneficial because you are probably depleting it if you work out. And carnitine, as in carnitine palmitoyltransferase 1, CPT1, that is the primary transport vehicle for fatty acids to get across the mitochondrial membrane and use fats for fuel. So if you hypothetically were deficient in carnitine, you would not be able to shuttle fat into a cell to be burned. So why on earth would we even risk that? It's such an inexpensive supplement. So as your training demand increases, add a little carnitine in. And as your training demand increases, Eat enough red meat to get your carnitine. At the end of the day, I would much rather you eat a full spectrum diet where you don't need to supplement any of these things, or just occasionally do, but let's be real, none of us are perfect. This next one is one that I've majorly changed my mind on, but I'm still very strategic about the use. I was pretty against essential amino acids and very against branched chain amino acids. I still don't think branched chain amino acids are that important. Now, what BCAAs are, they are leucine, isoleucine, and valine. They are the primary amino acids that saturate in the muscle when muscle protein synthesis is occurring. So if you were to look at a muscle cross-sectional area or a biopsy of a muscle and it had high levels of BCAAs in it, it would indicate that you were probably in a state of muscle protein synthesis and high net protein balance. Okay, so BCAAs are critical, but in a supplement form, it's better to take essential amino acids. And I've said that for years, so nothing's changed there. But what has changed is how important I think EAAs are if you are already lean, okay? If you're overweight, I don't know if taking essential amino acids is hugely beneficial for you because you have enough fuel on hand that if you're in a caloric deficit, you're gonna pull from that fuel. You don't need to really worry about supplementing EAAs if you're getting enough protein in. If you are already lean, for example, like you've lost a lot of weight already and you're still in a caloric deficit because you want to get leaner, or maybe you're fasting because you like how it makes you feel, but you're already lean. That's a perfect example of where I'm at. Essential amino acids occasionally during your fasted workout are probably okay. I used to think, oh, this breaks a fast, and I used to what I would call major in the minors. I would say, okay, the leucine breaks a fast. I don't want to do this because I'm no longer quote unquote fasting, but at the mercy of potentially losing muscle. So if you're already, let's say this, under 12, 13% body fat, maybe 15, having essential amino acids during your workout, if you're fasted, is probably somewhat beneficial. It probably does decrease the amount of muscle catabolism. Now, that being said, I don't recommend just sipping on them if you're not working out. Because yeah, then you are spiking insulin and getting leucine in your system for no real reason with no real stimulus. Next one, number 8, I've changed my opinion on Astragalus and other adaptogens. I've learned, and I've actually just learned this from some herbalists and people that are just real experts in this world, that adaptogens shouldn't be taken all the time. And Astragalus, if you look at like Chinese medicine, like Astragalus traps the qi, it's called. And I learned this even from people in the comment section. I used to take Astragalus for recovery, for immune function, all these things. And then people were telling me, hey, you should look into this more and talk to some herbalists about this because Astragalus actually could lock you in a perpetual state of having issues too. Adaptogens are really interesting. They adapt to where you are at a certain point. They're very intelligent things. It sounds woo-woo-y and weird, but I don't think people should just take ashwagandha every day. I don't think people should take Astragalus every day. I think you take it occasionally when you feel good to help your body kind of trap that feeling and kind of, I don't want to say trap that feeling, but it keeps that cycle going. But if you were to say take a bunch of adaptogens when you're already feeling run down, there's the potential, and I say with quotes, risk that it could trap you in that cycle. So adaptogens are something that we need a lot more research on before we can just take them every day. And the last thing I want to talk about is collagen. I used to think that collagen was only beneficial for connective tissue. There is now literature that suggests that collagen intake, whether it's coming from food or supplement form, can actually help the muscle protein synthesis as well. So collagen, independent of whey protein, maybe along with it, can actually potentially enhance the utilization of the whey protein. But more importantly, I've learned that collagen doesn't just go into the amino acid pool like all aminos. I used to think, okay, collagen's great, but it's really just aminos. It's gonna end up in the collagen or the amino acid pool, all the amino acids in the bloodstream anyway. No, the collagen itself, the peptides, the bioactive peptides in collagen signal to the brain to actually start the collagen formation and to form the matrices that they need to actually create more cartilage, more connective tissue. So it's also a signaling device that signals for collagen to form. It's not just collagen itself. So I've changed my opinion on how important it is, but also in tandem with glutamine if you're dealing with gut barrier issues. Bone broth, as far as a supplement is concerned. I consider it a supplement really, as well as collagen, along with glutamine, are a tremendous trifecta when it comes down to gut barrier integrity and remodeling there. So as always, keep it locked in here on my channel. I'll see you tomorrow.